well, and away we go. Good times. Good times. I don't know why. It felt like Tom and I did perform last night, the JCS Interactive Hour. Thanks to all who showed up, asked questions, and interacted with us. That was a good time. Appreciate you very much so. And, I did the Warchant report yesterday, and then, of course, the show yesterday. So it was a busy day yesterday. And I don't know. I went to bed last night after watching the Phillies just pound the Braves in embarrassing fashion. And checking in on the other games, making sure the Dodgers were going to go ahead and get swept up out of here, which is another beautiful thing. And then lament the Astros winning. And then also adding to the stat I've been bringing up at the end of shows, which just for a second will lead with baseball, but 5 teams across baseball won more than 90 games this year. 4 of them are out of the playoffs. The 5th is on the brink. It's crazy, that game. 4 of those teams never stood a chance, didn't win a game. The 5th, had they not had a miracle, would have been swept also. So it is a bizarre thing when you've heard people say, most notably me over the years, hey, baseball's baseball, man. People get mad when good teams lose to bad teams. I'm like, baseball's baseball. It's an unsteady deal, man, and a frustrating one. Then again, there's the case of the Astros who are like, no, we're not unsteady. We're just good. We're here in the same place every year. Annoyingly so. Anyhow, so I went to bed last night thinking this week was never going to end because I'm eager for this game on Saturday. As much as I'm enjoying all the other stuff, I'm really ready to get to this game. And then today woke up, I was like, it's almost here. It's already Redemption Thursday. Let's go. Got excited about it. Pumped again. So there we have it. It is about that time. And soon I will go ahead and introduce to you the selections. Tommy, how you doing, brother? Doing all right over there?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I just sent it into the admin. I'll text Ira in a second. Unless you're listening, Ira, the third and lang is filed. It's in the system for
FSU ready to go.
Syracuse. Yeah. I'll text him though in a second. Yep.
What did you discover on third and lang?
That Florida State's 2023 offensive identity is going to be pitted against, itself when it faces Syracuse. Syracuse likes to force you into a lot of underneath throws, and we're throwing the ball at 20-plus yards down the field at a 20% clip. So 1 out of 5 passes are going way down the field. Syracuse wants you to throw underneath. We want to see, I think a lot of us do in this fan base, more underneath throws. So is this the perfect time for a test such as Syracuse defense? Because the other part is, if you look at last year's scheme and what we did on the road at Syracuse, which was a laugher of a victory on a Saturday night, if you recall, only 3 passes out of 22 traveled more than 10 yards down the field. Everything was underneath all night long. So this year's offense, very different than last year's in a lot of ways. We know that. But could you see a little bit of last year come out and emerge on Saturday afternoon? So it's a fun little breakdown.
I'm ready to see dominance from our defense on the other side of it. I feel very good about what's going to happen here. I don't think Syracuse has the horses at wide receiver. Obviously, they suffered a devastating injury, second game of the year, lost their best player, and that's a toughie. Would have maybe made a difference. Would have certainly made a difference for them. May have made a little bit of a difference in this game. But I like Florida State's defense to have a big day. We keep waiting for that 4-quarter day for both the offense and the defense. I guess for the team as a whole, I think they're going to get it on Saturday at noon. Let's get it out there just so everybody realizes it. Saturday, I should say, pregame show, little morning pregame show, Hotel Indigo, Tom. I believe we're on the air at 10:30. Is that right?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay, 10 a.m. Yeah, makes sense. 10 a.m. and then the kickoff is at noon. So, you know what? If we get this kind of overcast, cool air, I'm all right with it, buddy.
Well,
I'm all right with it.
It'll be early enough in the day that we should be just fine. It might get up into the 80s. Are you taking the family to this game, or are you what are you doing?
My mom's coming into town and my dad's coming into town, and this is hilarious. I've told people about my circumstances in the past. I've been very, very fortunate. My mom and my dad are divorced. They have been remarried to their respective spouses now for 30 years or whatever it is, something more than that, 40 years. And yet they're the best of friends. So my dad is always here. My mom's coming up this weekend, and they're going to go to the game together with their grandkids.
Oh, nice.
So how cool is that? Yeah, it'll be a nice situation.
Well, they might bake in the sun a little bit.
I'm not baking nothing. I'm going in the press box, buddy, and then maybe up under the roof if it's not too bad.
There's the way to do it. But 10 a.m. at Indigo, no problem. It's going to be easy breezy, nice and cool, and I think the perfect temperature for maybe a little mimosa or Bloody Mary action, personally.
Good times. Good times. Wagers, I got them. Here we go. Let's get to them. Let's throw them up on the screen, Matthew. I don't see why not. Thanks to Metro Deli. Good friends of the Jeff Cameron Show. Here we go. I've stuck to what some of you have asked and gone pretty standard here, not getting outside too many weird wagers for everybody. Maybe next week I'll reintroduce a bunch of weird wagers because I do have on my real card a few more first half totals and things like that. But I'm going to lay those points right off the bat. I just thought I'd go out with a bang to start things off, and I'll lay the 17.5 for Florida State against Syracuse. I like the Noles big here. I'm going to take Tennessee -3 against Texas A&M. It's a good spot for Tennessee. That game is at Tennessee. We'll see. Max Johnson's struggling a little bit. Give me Tennessee here. You know, I've been in love with BYU all year long. They've won me a lot of bets, including when I took them to beat Arkansas straight up, and they did that. I'll do it again here. Money line against TCU. I'm not a believer in that TCU program right now. Give me BYU to win the game. Give me Wake Forest to beat Virginia Tech, who I don't think is any good at all. And I like Wake Forest. Money line again. LSU Auburn, we're going to go over the 61 here. Under the 61 here. You guys have to take the over if you want the bet. I'm going to take the under there in that game. And then I also like Texas Tech to beat K-State. I like Wyoming. Of course I like Wyoming. There's no – oh, that's a siren game to you? I don't know. Now, that's an undefeated Air Force team, and if they win this game, they may finish the season undefeated, I might add, when you look at the rest of their schedule. But Wyoming, those are my babies right there in Wyoming. They're getting 10.5. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Let's go. 10.5. North Carolina laying the 3.5 against Miami. Tough times at Miami. Reeling. And I also took the over 57.5 there. I think that's a high-scoring game. And then finally, UCLA plus 3.5. I'm a believer in the UCLA defense. They've won me over. I'll take the 3.5 against Oregon State. So not a bunch of weird games this week. It's just kind of straight up. A lot of fun games. A lot of fun games, though, Tom.
Yeah, I think that Wyoming Air Force still qualifies as a siren. I know that everybody knows that they're your darlings, and you were given Wyoming gear almost 10 years ago now? Somebody brought it up.
I still have it. Yeah.
But still, Wyoming Air Force qualifies, especially on a week where there's nothing else, like maybe a team total over for Louisiana Tech taking on Tulsa. In lieu of that, I think Wyoming Air Force is probably good enough for a siren.
The lone siren there. Yeah, I've got I'll add to the card tomorrow. But I've got some games that I like. The NFL had nothing this week. I'm still looking for a team total or something fun like that, but they really didn't give me much this week that I love. So I'm leaving it alone. I'm done with it. By the way, for those people, I saw it was mentioned in the chat here. Toby brought it up. Tom, great job with D-Rob on the all-22 breakdown of the run game. I loved it. Amazing how much you can learn when somebody breaks it down like that. You know, Toby, one thing I'll tell you and that is true. And D-Rob does a really good job, and Tom does a great job too. But this is why you hear so many people say, and this is certainly why if you ever played and you had to go into the film room, you recognize how much importance lies in the quality of the copy you're looking at. What you get with the tight copy, what you get with the all-22s, what you get being able to analyze with the full view of the safeties is really, it alters the way you view a game. And that's why coaches will say so frequently after a game, I don't know about that. I'll have to go back and look at the tape. So, because they know that what they're seeing is just a snapshot of what was. It is not in totality. It is not the picture. Now, they'll certainly have greater insight as to why something worked or did not work, even before they look at that film, because they know what the play call was and what the responsibilities were of the players that they coach. So a lot of times people in the stands, or if you're watching at home, you can think you know why this worked or failed, but you don't always know what the player responsibilities are on that call and what their secondary responsibilities are. And if you weren't watching the all-22s and you didn't see how many men were in the box at the snap, who came down late, who, obviously either occupied space or left space at the last second. It's hard to know then what responsibilities lie where. And when I was watching the piece that Toby's referencing, and you can find it right now on warchant.com, it's a really good breakdown. I was just reminded again of the coach's film and how important it is to see that, to really get a good sense. The other thing is, Tom, I took the same amount of joy as you did, and I chuckled much in the same way that you did. And I could tell you couldn't help yourself. Unfortunately, it's at one of our guys' expense. Old number 33 for Clemson told Meach what time it was. It is hilarious to watch. I mean, whoo. Well, that ain't a good look, brother.
It's not, and I had to ask D-Rob about that, and he says, "What? You're in the room. You have to go. What happened, brother? What happened?"
He got brutalized.
It's part of the game, though.
It is completely part of the game.
It's not like, ha, look at him. You give as much as you get when you get to this level. And Meach has delivered some big ones. I mean, even the clip of the 85-yard run against Virginia Tech as Keandre Jones in space, a poor linebacker gets in his way, and he gets destroyed. So it's the nature of the game. But sometimes when you just see a mass of humanity do one of these numbers, and they're like wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man, it's just it's good comedy. And at Florida State on that play ended up picking up 12 yards. So it was all worth it.
Yeah, it is also funny. D-Rob did a good job of trying to be delicate about it, but he did note that it's not ideal to find your lead blocker who's pulling be thrown 10 yards into the backfield. To have number 33 bitch him in that manner is a little tough to take in and not kind of cringe a little bit. But he's standing straight up. And again, this is a game of leverage. And man, that was a reminder.
Well, what fascinates me about this game from the offensive standpoint, and this is where when you get to do stuff, and some stuff hit the cutting room floor, so we probably had another 10 or 12 minutes worth of breakdowns from D-Rob. But when you get to hear somebody who's in it and he's still coaching on Friday nights, even though his son is playing for USC and he's flying to all those games on Saturdays, he's still coaching. So he's very much involved in the game. But I am interested to see what Florida State does on the ground in terms of the types of runs they choose against Syracuse. Last year, counter wasn't even what they brought to the table because that 3-3-5 is so wacky. The assignments and the responsibilities can get tough. They didn't break that out until the second quarter. They were running more outside zone, inside zone. They ran some trap too last year, which was strange in the first half. So what do they do this year? Because it's not like counter was working entering this game. It's not that consistent. Do they use this pin and pull deal that they broke out against Virginia Tech? Do they? Because the problem is last year, the tone was set against Syracuse by them just kind of road grading that defensive front. Are they going to do that again this year? Can they do that to anybody? That's the challenge for Saturday.
I think they can do it again, Tom, and that's why I picked them to do it again. I don't. This is a bad matchup for Syracuse, and I thought it was a bad matchup last year. I think it's a bad matchup this year. I think they run the wrong scheme to try to stop Florida State here. I think they're going to have a lot of success on the ground again.
The one thing I'd say is if you look at the Clemson game and watching it closer, Clemson is extending drives by Syracuse's penalties, and that counts for something. Not being well coached counts for something. But Syracuse racked up 13 tackles for loss. 13 tackles for loss on Clemson.
Yeah, but that's a boom or bust system, and they bring pressure with their linebackers. They sneak them up. They walk them up late sometimes and blitz the A-gap. You see that, and they've got a couple of linebackers that I really like. I suspect they'll still have some playmaking ability here, but, man, I don't think it works consistently well enough to alter the scope of the game. I just don't. I mean, you could blow up a drive or two doing that. You can sabotage a drive or two doing that. But the other problem is when I marry it, Tom, when I think about how inept Syracuse offense is and how little they have going for him. The Allen kid's a nice player at running back when he gets into space, but he's not a guy that is a game changer. Their offensive line is a real problem. It's not good. It's just not a good offensive line. You do not want to play Florida State's front four if your offensive line is substandard. And that's one of the strengths of this team is that front four. It's not a secret, but it's worth reiterating. Joshua Farmer is a grown-ass man having a grown-ass man season. Farmer has been their best defensive tackle. It's not all that close. He's really good. At some point, are we ever going to mention, Fabian Walker having a good game? Is it ever going to happen again? I keep waiting on it. I'm hoping it does. I'm rooting for Fabo, by the way, because he's eminently likable. He's a fun guy to watch at practice, and you see it, but it's fleeting. It's not consistent. And that's true of all the other defensive linemen not named Farmer. Now, if you want to include defensive ends, I'm separating, I should say interior, but, the defensive ends, I feel like Verse has been very, very good this year. And it was good to see him get a couple of sacks to go, post some numbers. But even devoid of those numbers, he's been very good.
Yeah, he has. I think Peyton has had his moments where Mike Norvell gets pissed off on the sidelines.
Oh, he's a bust player.
But there's a lot of boom. Like in the LSU game, there was more boom from Peyton than there was Jared Verse. And I think there are other examples too, like the clutch moments against Clemson, where Peyton's in isolation. He's got to make a play a couple of times, and he does. One of it is a quarterback run late, forces that short field goal that Clemson missed. Let's see. But then there was another moment where they roll out on a trick play, and Peyton stays right where he should. So Peyton has been better this year overall, but the splash plays are definitely there. And then I thought Gilbert Edmond had a pretty good game against Virginia Tech too.
He's an interesting player. I think they thought they were going to get more out of him. I feel like you had him already, so it was weird that you went out and replaced him with him, in a weird way. He may be even a little less consistent. But I will say that I think, by the way, that that effort in that level of play from Gilbert Edmond encouraged me to believe the second half of the season we could see some more consistency from him.
Well, and that is consistent with camp. What you saw on Saturday is that
I said Walker, I meant Lovett. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, Fabian Walker. That's old school right there.
All those Florida State names are kicking around in the back of my head when I'm criticizing. There you go.
They're about the same age with COVID eligibility, so that part of it is true as well. But that's who Gilbert was in camp. He was somebody who there would be a day or two where you go, whoa, if that's going to be who you are, then we are 3 deep at defensive end, not 2 deep. And then there was, 4 or 5 days that would go by and you'd say, okay, not
is
much
he
there.
Out here? Does anybody notice if he's out here?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it kind of encapsulates a little bit of what we talk about seemingly every day with this team. It's a guy that you think, okay, he's here, he's this close, and then it didn't happen, or I thought maybe we could project it to happen this Saturday. Didn't happen. Next thing you know, so, we will see. We will see. But I think Saturday's a good day. I hope they can overcome the sleepy nooner element and not just go through the motions. I think if they're intense and focused, have a good chance to blow this team out. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists, providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable, expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young, from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers, and that's not all, Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270146.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Jimmy Fasig at Fasig Brooks. We hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of thewarchant.com.
Later on, I believe tonight the boys get together from Wake Up Warchant on YouTube as well. That should be fun. Make sure you tune in then. And also, of course, on Friday afternoon, we have an opportunity to get together for a little happy hour as we're wont to do for the home games. Little sit back, have a cold one, talk a little football at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. That, too, is a good thing. Thanks, George. Appreciate you. He writes, is it me or is it still crazy how Miami went from Tyler Van Spike, where they wanted to stop the clock but couldn't, to refusing to kneel to keep the clock rolling? Yeah, I know it's they have had some butchered endings. There's no doubt about that. It's by the way, the more disconcerting thing, if you're a Miami fan, beyond recognizing some of the gross negligence of your head coach, coaching malpractice there in the midst of all of that, is the fact that kind of low-key ignored because of the debacle at the end of the game, is the fact that Tyler Van Dyke played like ass that entire game. And a couple of those interceptions are the only reason that the game was close, that they had a chance to lose said football game. He had largely avoided that level of poor play that was on display almost all of last year. And what we came to realize about last year's performance was that, A, the offensive coordinator they hired, and we said it and first guessed it, it was a bad fit. B, Tyler was injured and really tried to play through an awful lot, probably should have never been out there in the game against us, as we last saw. And, yeah, boo-hoo, right? They rolled him out there. He suffered the consequences. They took an ass beating. It was glorious. Another coaching mistake. But this year he has played well. He's been smart with the football. You saw the guy from 2 years ago that we projected to be pretty good, right? So to see that performance is kind of crazy. And that is lost in the shuffle of the catastrophic, if you're looking at it from a Miami fan standpoint, catastrophic ending. It got overlooked a little bit there. That was kind of an eyebrow-raising performance from him where you're at home and it's not a good Georgia Tech team, gang. That ought not be happening. Now, I know they move the ball, but turnovers can help even out things like this. And, boy, what a weird year if you think about it, Tom. We've seen a lot of games like this now, where one team statistically or even just watching the game, you'll say, is really having the better of it, and then either they screw it up on special teams or they turn the football over at a key time in the game, maybe both, something like that. And the next thing you know, you're in this close football game in the fourth quarter. Florida State's experienced some of that, luckily been able to hold on and win games, but that you've seen it all over the country.
Yeah, I said after the Clemson game that I felt like that was almost like an NFL victory, on the road. I don't care how you get it, just get it. In the NFL, we forget the foibles of a win or a loss a lot quicker than you do in college. I think it's
because you're talking to the professionals. The other side is filled with professionals who are likely the best players on their college teams, even if they're the poor team in the league.
Agreed. I think also part of it is what Ira said on Monday, which is the stakes are so high that one loss is basically the end of your season for most of the history of the sport. Mostly, and it's getting to a place now where a 12-team playoff, one loss does not end your year. So you're probably quicker to forgive it. But at the same time, this also feels like an NFL season to me in which anytime you chalk up a win, it could be not as pretty as you wanted it. Like Virginia Tech last week. Was that as pretty as you wanted it to be? No, not even close.
No.
But was it decisive? Yeah, it was. And that's got to be good enough in some cases, especially in a year like this one where decisive wins are really hard to come by. We marvel at Georgia over Kentucky because there aren't many of those. And the next closest thing is what? Us in the second half against LSU, Texas over Alabama. There aren't a lot of decisive victories when you see two ranked teams going head-to-head against one another. Maybe Louisville, Notre Dame. I don't know. A lot of years, though, that top five will churn it out, and it doesn't matter if they're playing number 15 in the country or number 25 in the country. This year, it's just every time that you can be undefeated on to the next week, man, you're going to be in great position to go to the playoff because there are upsets all around us in college football.
Sneaky good slate for that this weekend, at least in terms of getting some results that help clarify the picture. Florida State, if they get the win on Saturday, and we are assuming some things there. Obviously, if they don't, then they don't deserve to go to the college football playoff. So that's a moot point. But if Florida State gets the win, and we suspect they will, you're going to be tuned into a lot of these bigger games to find out who's officially eliminated. There are some teams now that you think are on the cusp of being eliminated, namely the one-loss teams that have already lost a game of significance. They're on the outside looking in, but if this ends up being a landscape that features 7 or 8 one-loss teams that are in the top 10, then one of those teams is getting into that Final Four. So you're trying to eliminate some of these teams who you've probably in your mind already discounted, but you can't completely dismiss. So this weekend gives you a little bit of that, especially if you're thinking about, a game like Oregon-Washington moves somebody on the precipice of being out of the conversation. And just winning each week now, as we turn the corner into the second half of the season, get the win this Saturday, get to 6-0, you got 6 more of them, right? At that point, you will have won 12 straight. If it's back-to-back convincing wins, the picture becomes clearer for you, while more muddled for some of these other fringe teams, and that will be interesting to see who does what with those games. But I feel good right about now. I'll feel better in the next week or two as this plays out. There's a part of me that really would like to see Southern Cal put out of their misery here. Go ahead and lose to Notre Dame. We're tired of you already feeling very, very fraudulent. I saw where Lincoln Riley this week somehow turned it around on the media when asking questions about his defense. Sir, you've had back-to-back games in which your defense gave up 41 points. Well, it is a valid question, and given your history of fielding many an offensive juggernaut, nary a dominant defense, you're going to get asked about that side of the football, and that is not because there is a conjured narrative that the media is responsible for. You got to get away from that nonsense. The numbers empirically state that you suck on defense. Not everything. I know we've tried to do this now. Can be blamed on the media. Your defense is your defense. You're not getting stops. You're going to get asked about it. That's how it works when you make $10, $11, $12 million a year. You're held responsible for the elements of your organization that are substandard. Funny little thing. Accountability is demanded, and the more you make, the more it's asked of you. That's how it works. Tired of coaches doing this. I'm tired of politicians doing it. I'm tired of people in general just fall back with this stance of, oh, what's the media's fault? It's not the media's fault. You need the media, by the way. So watching all of these coaches week to week do this, and it's not just him. I've seen a ton of them turn around and say, well, I don't know, guys. I mean, you guys like to start these narratives. Hey, get the hell up out of here. That narrative followed you from Oklahoma. You guys didn't have a defense there. Somebody's going to ask you when you give up 40-plus points to Arizona about your defense. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But it drives me nuts. This is every week with these coaches.
But that's why it was, in the preseason, you look at some of the Florida State's a contender and some of these other teams. I get that Caleb Williams deserves to be a Heisman favorite.
He's a stud.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing as are they a playoff contender? Are they a national title contender?
Right.
His whole career has been until further notice. I don't think they're going to get stops. And we continue. It's gone from one location to the next. Can't be about the situation in Oklahoma or the recruiting in the heartland of the country. Can't be about that because now he's out in the West Coast. They spend more money than anybody at USC. So
they sure do.
Yeah.
I might note that USC is going to be very good for a very long time. They have committed financially to being very, very good for a very long time. So that's not going to go anywhere, but they're not going to win anything until they get to a place where, in fact, they bother to get a stop. It is, it's got to be infinitely frustrating for their fans, I might add. And I would just say this, Greg, I saw your comment that USC is now playing like Florida State did in 2014. 2014 Noles were not juggernauts, did have games that caused us all nearly to have a heart attack. But I'll go in reverse. They gave up 19 points to the University of Florida, 17 to BC, 26 to Miami, 20 to Virginia, 31 to Louisville, 27 to Notre Dame, 20 to Syracuse, 3 to Wake. There's one game where they look like USC's defense, and that was the famed 56-41 win against NC State. All the others are not anything close to what USC is doing, which is giving up a gazillion all the time. If you watch that second half against what were you going to say?
I don't remember that game. 56-41?
But that's the final game that's the game against NC State, 56-41.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. The one thing I would say is the 14 Noles were the 14 Noles because they won something the year before. USC hadn't done that.
Well, yeah, and if you remember, that's the OT Clemson game, right? 23-17.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the OT Clemson game. So,
I do remember that game now. That Jameis had the high ankle. Remember, he had the high ankle sprain. And then it was Jacoby Brissett was like Neo from the Matrix. He made 5 or 6 plays as he was falling down to the ground and chucking it up to a wide open receiver. I remember that game now.
Yeah, really annoying. NC State has a history of that, by the way, against us, of just rolling some dudes out there that have never looked good and all of a sudden are making plays that you've never seen them make in the history of their existence. It's very annoying. So I will say this weekend, I will be bitterly disappointed if anything like that crops up. If somehow we watch Syracuse going up and down the field this weekend, Tom, we've got another conversation to have, but I don't think they will. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
More than 1 million people across the country lost Medicaid.
Hey guys, our
coverage
next
so
partner
far
is AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it quite literally every single day. I began using AG1 because I'll be honest with you, I don't like to take a bunch of pills and vitamins, and I just wanted something that tastes great, was quick, and easy to remember. So I do it. I do it every morning when I wake up. I certainly have it right after my coffee and before I work out. And I will tell you this, too. It is a simple, effective investment for your health. You can try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JCS. Again, that's all you got to do is go to drinkag1.com/JCS. That's drinkag1.com/JCS. Check it out. It's delicious. It's quick. It's easy. It's proven. Vitamins, probiotics, whole food source nutrients. Start your day with it. You'll feel better. I promise.
approaching 75. Northeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overcast skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 66. Highs level off around 81 tomorrow. Slight chance for scattered storms. Highs level off around 85 Saturday under sunny skies. 75 Sunday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 68.
Siri, tell me a joke.
The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Your next chance to splash into some cash with Swain Pools and Spas to win $1,000 is coming up at 2 p.m. Listen out for the keyword, and all you got to do is text the keyword for a chance to win $1,000.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you
if you win, you're in. Florida State would go to the college football playoff with an undefeated season, guaranteed. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who else joins them in that endeavor. Not going to be easy, though. Not going to be easy. Kind of curious to see what Louisville does this weekend and how well they play. It's a trap game, as Tom pointed out.
Man, that is a sucker line. 7.5.
Yeah, they'll win the game, but yeah.
Did that make your slate? I don't remember it being there.
Nah, I'm just curious about it. I almost jumped on the Fighting Narduzzi's. I just hate their quarterback situation. I can't do it. It is a trap game, though.
It's the offensive line. I think Phil is an okay quarterback, but his whole career, he's never had really an offensive line to work with. And you're telling me that Louisville, which is capable, I know what's going on here. Vegas is saying, yes, Tom, yes. But you're telling me that Louisville, which is capable of running away and hiding from Notre Dame, is barely a touchdown favorite, just over a touchdown favorite over Pitt?
Yeah. Remember, when we talk about bad spots, good spots, that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
In college football, big time, it's a real thing. Less so in the NFL. But in college football, you see it all the time. I thought it was a bad spot for Notre Dame. Yeah, meaning that they have had a couple of rigorous and tough games to get through and emotional games at that. You think about, go back to that Duke game and then look at the Ohio State game and the way that ended. And, you're not far removed, right? And then now you're going on the road at night against a really well-coached Louisville team. And Braum is going to do that. He is a very good coach. I've always thought very highly of them. I thought that was the route they needed to go. Prodigal son returns, right? They needed to go get him and bring him in. He'll have his teams prepared. They do not have, in my opinion, the personnel that Florida State has. In fact, it's not close. But they will always be prepared and be well coached. And so you'll have to play well to beat that team. And I thought that Notre Dame picked a tough time to not play well. They did not play well, but they looked sort of flat. And credit Louisville. They were sky high at night, big games, circled it. They don't have a lot of great games on their schedule. They knew they needed to win that game, obviously, and they played with great energy and great emotion and got them a big win, a necessary win. But on a neutral site, I'd be happy to play Louisville. I'd be happy to play Louisville. Listen, if you're going to tell me, okay, Jeff, let's project ahead, who do you want to play in the ACC championship game? Let's just assume for a second they get there. If they're going to get there, who would you rather play? North Carolina, rematch with, say, Miami or something like that, rematch with Clemson, if somehow they were able to get in, or Louisville? Well, I'm going to start with saying I want to play Louisville. I don't want to play Clemson's defense, and I don't want to play Drake May. And so those are two things I don't want to play. Don't want to play Clemson's defense and don't want to play Drake May.
Watching the Syracuse game from North Carolina, like, again, I think the defense for Syracuse played all right. Their success rate in getting North Carolina in some second and longs and third and longs is pretty good. But that's where a game, it's a hidden one because it's a blowout, so you don't really watch. But May makes maybe like 6 or 7 throws that you're just like, oh my God. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
If you're going to do that, I mean, sure, everything's covered up. Syracuse does a good job of closing the gap between, the mid-level defenders, linebackers, and safeties, and then that top end. And you've got to be able to flight the ball just over one and just under the other. And May does that 3 or 4 times. It's unbelievable. And then a couple other plays where he uses his legs. He's more mobile than you think, Jeff, but he makes a couple of plays that, turn
He's a very good athlete. Yes.
a 3rd and 6 into a first down, and everything's bottled up. That's the thing against this defense, too, for Jordan. I'm not trying to change it necessarily. It's all about Syracuse, but you've got to be able to break the pocket and make some plays because their structure is pretty good if you're in third and passing. Jordan did that last year beautifully on the road.
Beautifully.
Klubnik was feast or famine. He was overwhelmed at times by Syracuse. Then he made some awesome plays. And then Drake May was Drake May. Like there are times in big games where I laugh at North Carolina every year, it seems. And Drake May maybe doesn't show up and perform. Dude, that was one of them. That's a performance where you look at those highlights and you say, yeah, you don't want any part of that in Charlotte.
No, he's a really good player. He is a really good player, and I continue to say that. Look, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He could end up being the number 1 pick. I don't think he will, but he could be. I mean, he's that good a player. You don't want a guy capable of making those throws. It could be a long night. You're gonna have to score a lot of points. I think to beat North Carolina. I think that's the way I'd look at that game as we sit here now. If the defense continues to ascend, Tom, and play better and better each week, maybe I would reevaluate. As we sit here today, I think you would have to win a high-scoring game to beat North Carolina. And maybe you could. I mean, certainly I think it would be a good game. It looks like that's the game we're going to have. I mean, I think we both think as we sit here today that North Carolina is going to do a number on Miami. Do you not agree?
They should. There's a lot of things that North Carolina should do or should have done over the last few years. And this is interesting because I know that Miami's in shambles this week, but I think this is the last stand. They've got Clemson next week.
One or the other. Yeah, it's one or the other. This is a rallying, galvanizing moment, or it's not.
Yeah.
We don't know. Did they tune him out that very moment? Did they quit on that guy as they could in that very moment? I'll tell you the moment that hurts him more than the asinine decision not to kneel. It's the first 30 seconds of his greeting the media after the game. That's where you could lose the team. Now, listen, the play itself is worthy of perhaps losing the team, but he compounded the problem when he walked in, and it's one quick snide comment towards the end. He couldn't help himself. And it reveals an awful lot, by the way. But when he says, we teach 2 hands on the ball, man, don't do it. That is wrong. You got it wrong. And he knows it. He knows he's wrong, but he couldn't help himself. Kudos to whoever that Miami reporter is who asks him to reiterate the nonsense recalibration that he tried to throw out there when he says, well, we thought we could get the first down and we were going to run and recalibrate. Gibberish. Word salad gibberish. It was 3rd and 10. And you thought you were going to get the first down with a run up the middle? Stop it. That's not what you were doing. None of what you just said is true. And basically the reporter says, can you clarify what you mean? You thought you could get the first down and you were going to recalibrate. And he knows he's got in that very moment. He knows the reporter's not buying it. The reporter's saying what everybody else is thinking in that room. No, man, that ain't it. Come again? That's basically what the reporter did. And it's at that point that he says the thing about, well, we teach ball security, 2 hands on the ball. Oh, man. And then he says, it was a mistake. We should have taken a knee. Should have taken a knee. Then he says it because he knows he can hear himself. It's not making any sense.
This is another reason why having the noon kick on Saturday. See, it feels like a libations Friday today. I don't know why. But having the noon kick, being all set to watch that first quarter. That first quarter is critical to the end of Miami season, where the program goes under Mario. You can get avalanched and be trying because North Carolina is up for a game and they're at home. Like, that's a thing that can happen. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if North Carolina is up by 7 or 10 in the first quarter, it's because North Carolina is doing something special. It could be that Miami just packs it in and you go, oh, they didn't make the road trip. Oh no, because now they got Clemson coming to town next week. So you're going to blow the game to Georgia Tech. North Carolina is going to trample you. And then there's going to be nobody in the stands for you and Clemson fans coming down to Miami man, that's how it avalanches. I'm hoping for it, but I'm very interested to see that first quarter, first 20 minutes or so.
You and me both. It could work the other way. If you're any good, if you can somehow convince these kids, and the only way to do it would be to swallow your pride and walk in there and apologize and mean it. You got to look inward, man. But you walk in there and you tell them you've never been more sorry about a coaching decision in all your life, and that is on you. You'll never let them down like that again. I trust you. I believe in you. I love you. I apologize. I lost my mind for a second. It'll never happen again. Now let's go out there and show them what we're about. Some type of speech like that, maybe a little bit more animated, obviously. And maybe they galvanize. Maybe they come around and say, okay, I believe him. I believe him. If you don't believe it, you better be a damn good actor, because you've got to find a way to convey that to those kids. Because I don't know that I would believe him at this point. I mean, his true colors showed when he accidentally mentioned in the first 30 seconds that they teach 2 hands on the ball. That revealed who he was.
Maybe chop some onions in your office before you walk out to the locker room so you can get the tears flowing. Guys, I've been waiting all week to tell you. But tonight.
Yeah, and I think it would have been something you needed to say beforehand and reiterate before the Saturday game. But we'll see. They could come out and play really hard. They could come out and play really smart. They could come out and play really well, and they could end up winning that game, and all of a sudden they've salvaged something, and maybe that moment is looked upon years later as a coming together and emblematic spark and all those things. But just something tells me I doubt it. Perhaps it's their recent history. Most of the time it's sort of here we go, falling off the cliff.
Is this the thing you're looking most forward to this weekend? Is that particular game, or is there something else beyond North Carolina and the troubles at Miami that is piquing your interest on the schedule?
Lots of games that pique my interest on the schedule. Oddly, I think Florida and South Carolina is very interesting to talk about levels of interest as the season goes on as well. I mean, that's a game that, quite frankly, if you've watched South Carolina play, that's not a real good football team. And I'm not telling you Florida's a real good football team, but I think they're equipped to win that game. I'm not saying they will win that game. That is Florida at South Carolina, 3:30. Now, no matter what South Carolina is as a football team in terms of record, they are also always passionately followed. Those fans show up for every South Carolina game, and they are rowdy, and they care, and they do turn that into an environment that you have to be able to block out, play with unbelievable composure despite noise levels and passions that, are usually reserved for the better teams in college football. South Carolina is rarely one of those. But their fans are great. They have great fans. So let's see. Florida hasn't played well on the road. They've lost their composure. They've looked bad in these moments. And now it's become a bit of a trend. And Napier addressed it this week, talking about, well, we're going to change some things about our clock and what we do and how we get there and how early we get there and all these desperate sounding things. So pretty funny to listen to the guy.
Of those fan bases that deserve better and show out, but don't get South Carolina, Nebraska, Virginia.
Well, yeah, at least Nebraska had a bunch of national championships over time. Not in the last 20 years, but they did, yeah.
Well,
South Carolina's got nothing, Tom, nothing ever.
We're going on 30, though. I mean, many of those people in the stands it might as well be a plaque on a wall. It's faceless.
It's been a long time.
It means nothing. Virginia Tech is another one. Those fans. Did you see the Pitt game? The Pitt game was nuts.
Yeah, but it is. I give them credit, and that's a cool entry. But they're pre the little Vic run, they were nothing ever. And pretty much post, they're nothing now again. That's much more of kind of where and what they are, I think, unfortunately for them. I know they're in denial about that, but that's a toughie. You're right. They are passionate, though, Tom. They are very passionate. They get pumped to go out there and lose to Old Dominion. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 11626.
This is Jamie McClenny of Trek Financial, co-host of Cover Your Assets here on Real Talk 93.3. Since 3 of the largest bank failures in U.S. history last March, the S&P 500 is up over 10% as D.C. politicians added an additional $1.5 trillion in spending after raising the debt ceiling. This rally has been extremely narrow, as a handful of mega-cap stocks are responsible for over 70% of the gain on the S&P 500 year-to-date. The yield on the 10-year Treasury has been below the 3-month rate for over 200 trading days, the longest streak in 6 decades. As one economist quipped, ignore these signals at your own risk. Managing downside risk is one of the biggest challenges that you will face in retirement, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned about where all of this might be headed, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule an office visit to discover the risk in your current portfolio.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Services to call away.
222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too.
222-7722. Parker Services. Conferences to call away. Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Hurricane season is here, and now is the time to make a move to keep your home comfortable, even if the power gets knocked out, with a home backup generator. Parker Services is proud to announce that they now sell and install whole home generators, and with financing options, they can be surprisingly affordable. Never worry about the loss of power again. Invest in your family's peace of mind with a home generator from Parker Services. Give them a call today for a free quote.
Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
CMC 050334. There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Don't go anywhere. Your chance to win $1,000 is coming up next on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Phillies over the Braves 10-2 yesterday in the NLDS to take a 2-1 lead of the series. Game 4 today, Citizens Bank Park. Spencer Strider on the mound for the Braves, $1.43 favorite. It's Ranger Suarez for the Phillies, plus 133, 8.5 over the total. Braves need a win for the series to return to Truist Park. Florida Gators have dropped 10 of their last 11 true road games. They're a 2.5-point dog at South Carolina Saturday, 51.5 the total at Williams-Brice Stadium. Florida State has won 11 consecutive games. They're laying 17.5 at home Saturday against Syracuse. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
The new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium is here. Switch to my plan from Verizon at your local store today, and you'll get the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro on us with unlimited ultimate when you trade in any iPhone, any model, any condition. Guaranteed. Yep, even the old phone in your pocket right now. It's your Verizon. $999.99, 128 gigabyte only. Device payment purchase or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in or promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I thought I was going to have to go through a hip replacement or some painful, unsuccessful surgery or be crippled the rest of my life.
Electrical engineer Dan Vogler had awful arthritic pain in his hips. Pain that not only affected him physically, but also emotionally. And it spilled over even to his relationships.
I was almost mean. If you're in pain and other people don't sympathize with it, you're lashing out at the wrong people.
But then Dan found QC Kinetics with the latest advances in regenerative medicine, non-surgical treatments with lasting relief.
I felt immediate relief. I mean, within half a day, much of the inflammation and pain was down.
And today, Dan says he's totally pain-free, living the life he wants.
At the end of the fourth treatment, I felt pretty much healed and enthused and was raving about QC Kinetics. I can recommend them highly to anyone.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
It's time to splash into cash with Swain Pools and Spas. Here is your next keyword.
Green, Green. Green, Green, green.
Text that keyword now to 508-777-1000. That's 508-777-1000 for your chance to win $1,000. Sponsored by Swain Pools and Spas.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5,
out there. I'm rather enjoying this. It's good. It's kind of the precursor, Tom, to down the line, like a little pullover, a little pullover action, and then maybe sweatshirt action, and then maybe a fireplace moment. Maybe you're sitting outside by the fire pit with a porter.
The world needs more porters. I believe that's a credo of mine from about 10, 11 years ago. When you get to fire pit season, you've really made it. That's a special kind of season.
That's heaven, because that also incorporates dear friends, family, great music, and tasty beverages, and late nights. The crackling of the brush and all that. Oh, it's good.
Patient neighbors too, right? Patient neighbors for the fire pit situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not unreasonable. I'm 52 years old, Tom. I'm not running down the street butt naked screaming or anything like that.
No, but I'm not going to howl and laugh if you tell a funny story. I'm not going to give you the courtesy fire pit level laugh. We're going to chat.
We're going to have a good time. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Redemption Thursday wagers. Flash them on the screen again real quick. They're right here in my hands. I will rapid fire these bad boys. I took FSU. I laid the 17.5. Laid all 17.5 of them. Said, there you go. Get you some. More than happy to give it to you. Tennessee -3 against A&M. BYU money line to beat TCU. Wake Forest money line to beat Virginia Tech. LSU Auburn. We're going to go a little under 61 because I think we're going to see fewer possessions. I think that Auburn is impotent. And therefore, I don't think LSU will be able to score the 50 whatever they would need to do to see this thing go over. I think it'll be a little bit lower. You like that logic there, Tommy? It went a little different than what most people would look at.
Yeah, I think that's a very sharpish play and not a public-ish play. So, yeah.
It's a shrewd play is what that is. Wyoming plus 10.5. I'm a fan of Wyoming. I'm rooting for the Cowboys. Touchdown Cowboys. There's the siren. Give me Texas Tech minus 1.5. Basically a pick 'em. Give me North Carolina. Lay the wood against Miami. Further lead to greater despair. Also took the over that game, 57.5. And I'll take UCLA plus 3.5 against Oregon State. UCLA's won me over with the defense. I've got other games, but those are the games I have here today. It's out there. I like it. And some of you were referencing at the end of the last hour, these pivotal moments in a coaching career and these pivotal moments for a season or a team or a player. And I like assessing these. Sometimes you can see the writings on the wall for somebody. Sometimes you can tell we're entering into a weekend that is going to see somebody's career path, somebody's career trajectory change. And I think you're getting some games like that. I don't know that we've arrived there just yet for Billy Napier, but I kind of feel like we're getting close, Tom. The road woes at this point are something. And South Carolina is not a great team. This would be a bad loss for him.
Well, he's not handling it very well either.
Correct.
There are times when a coach is steady-handed when it seems like the world is falling around him. Mike Norvell was pointed at 0-4, but he was pointed about sticking to the plan. And I think that's in that moment very important to see that even though your head coach is furious, he's not going to change what he's about. He's not going to talk about we teach two hands in that situation. He's going to talk about if they stick to my principles, if they stick to what we believe, I know success will be coming right behind it. And then there are other guys like Billy Napier who they take offense that they're even talking to the media on a Monday or a Tuesday. And you can feel that pressure welling up from within, and it shows outwardly as he shows his ass from time to time.
That's the good point here. Here's the thing. It's not so much that a guy can get perturbed by a question. I understand sometimes, depending on, the media member and his or her age or whatever it might be, or what their stated goal is or the outlet they work for or whatever, you might get an asinine question. How you answer that's really important, but it's especially true, Tom, when you're losing games. When you're losing games and you have to prove that, in fact, the program is not rudderless, that you're going to be all right, it is imperative that in those moments that try your patience and that frustrate you or that you feel are unfair It's a loaded question. The very nature of the question is not fair, and you don't think you should have to answer it. You cannot come across in that situation, especially not having been successful even a little bit at your new stop. You cannot come off as indignant. You cannot come off as holier than thou, better than thou, when the questions being asked are pointed about the lack of success. You have to be stable enough to take that question, answer that question, move on to the next without sounding petty, without sounding as if your feathers have been ruffled a little bit here. And he's come across not once but twice lately. Anytime a coach says, well, I'm on the inside, not a good idea. Not a good idea. You're now pitting yourself against the fan base. You're now pitting yourself against the media and the fan base. Not good, man. Not good.
Yeah,
the
petty thing is right, because you're above all of that. That's the way you need to carry yourself. I'm above all of this. We're going to be fine. We're going to be steady. One of the greatest examples in coaching press conference history of instability and pettiness is Matt Patricia telling a reporter that he looks like a slob and he should dress better for his job. Matt Patricia said that.
Yeah, all time. Yeah.
If that doesn't tell you about the self-doubt that is being brought to the dais and not the steadiness of where, even like you said about Mario Cristobal, sometimes you might need to be just an actor in that situation. I was petrified of the moment, but I wasn't going to let my team know it. I wasn't going to let anybody else know it. I was just going to go to work and do that much more work to get us where we needed to go. When you break down and you become petty, that shows weakness. That shows that things are getting to you, and things can't get to you, because if they get to you, and you're especially not a professional coach, if you're a college coach and you're leading 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds, if things get to you, they're going to lose their composure really fast, which is why, sidebar, that I think Mike Norvell was saying about his complaining with the officiating this past weekend, he needs to be better, because if he loses his cool, then he knows his players are going to be distracted and they're going to lose their cool.
I was all right with it, but I understand what you're saying. And I would also say this, and Briley, you nailed it there. Napier is also grasping at straws. That is true. Changing travel plans, focus on, quote, getting guys more and better sleep on the road. I mean, that is, yes. By the way, he mentioned, and you'll see that on Coach Speak today. I think it comes out here. It may already be out, but it'll be out tonight for sure. He doesn't make a lot of sense, actually, Tom. Napier said about kind of the plan to go on the road and fixing some things and analyzing everything. We analyze everything we do. When things aren't working, we're willing to take a good long look at everything we do. And, for example, there'll be some changes. We're really going to focus in on getting more and better sleep on Wednesday. The game is Saturday, dude. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, Wednesdays. We're really focusing on Wednesdays this week. We're focusing on our sleep on Wednesdays. To me, the only rational explanation is his players have a reputation for whatever bar on a Wednesday has whatever special, and he's trying to send a message out there to the public that I know what you're doing on a Wednesday is like what Tebow and Aaron Hernandez and Riley Cooper were doing back in the day, and you need to calm that stuff down. Because short of that, do they have like trackers on these kids? Do they track their sleep with a team issued watch, and they see that Wednesdays they're not sleeping well? Like, what's going on there?
There is a mode of tracking sleep that players are subjected to now at big time programs. That does happen, just to see that a player is doing the things that they're asking them to do and not partying all night. That's part of the sacrifice that you have to make. But I laugh at that because at some point we are talking about college kids. And, listen, a little bit of a giveaway here. I mean, the joke I make about that is, man, these kids are not real concerned about your concern of their sleep. They're concerned with having sex. And that is exactly what a player in college is thinking on a Wednesday night, if possible, while he's out and about. It's not something he's worried about with you tracking his sleep. Promise you.
But to take that to the days and say, look, folks, you might think Saturday is the most important game day, is the most important day of the week. I think Wednesday is the most important day of the week because we Wednesday is a big sleep day for us guys. We got to get to sleep on Wednesdays, and that's why I call it winning Wednesdays.
Oh, here we go. Hey, it can't be lost. Dino Babers could be under the same amount of pressure, although it's not completely the same thing. The expectations of Dino Babers and Syracuse is not to compete for playoff appearances or conference championships. It's just to make a bowl. And each of the last 2 years kind of looked like they were headed down that path. And then, the season goes to hell. Well, they're in the midst of it now. And when you go through the first 4 games and you see how good they look, and then you turn around and look at the schedule and you realize that they're playing Clemson, North Carolina, and Florida State back-to-back, that'll hurt your feelings. That's a toughie. So soon you're going to have gone from a team that won 4 straight to a team that's going to lose 3 straight. And after the bye week, what do we project just for fun? Little W's and L's for Syracuse here right off the bat. Little W's and L's for you and me and Syracuse. I'm giving you their schedule. We got this weekend against Florida State. That's a giant L. You can cue it if you want. That's all right. It's fun. Doesn't know where it is. That's okay. Here you go.
Bottom right.
Bottom right, if you find it. Interrupt me anytime. Doesn't matter. He's got it. He doesn't. So I'll pull this up. Bye week, Virginia Tech.
Win.
Nail biter, but I'll give you a win.
Yep.
Boston College.
Win.
Ooh, I don't know, Tommy. Coin flip games. These are coin flip games. Okay, I'll give you a win. Pitt.
Win.
Georgia Tech.
I don't know what. See, Tech is one of those teams. I don't know what they are.
They're fighting.
They controlled Louisville in week 1. I get it's a new system, so there's a lot of growth from week 1 to week 2 with a new head coach. They controlled Louisville for a bulk of that game. They lost to Bowling Green. And even before the Miami debacle, they hung in there with a Miami team that's way more talented than them. So all that to say, I don't know, maybe a loss? Maybe?
Yeah, I think the games we just went over after Florida State are coin flip games. That game is, by the way, I should tell everybody where they're playing. They're at Virginia Tech. That's a 7:30 at night ESPN game. They are home to Boston College. Then they're home to Pitt, at Georgia Tech. I'm going to pick them to lose that Georgia Tech game, by the way. And they end against Wake. They're going to lose to Wake.
Man, these are all close games. I've just been so impressed with what I've seen by the potential of their defense. Their offense hangs them out to dry, but that defense looks like it's still competing. I think this is a great chin check week for them. If you're doing Syracuse radio, you've been hit in the face twice. They still like to get downhill and play aggressive. I think Drake May broke them more than they didn't show up to play in Chapel Hill. So I'm interested to see how motivated they are this week. If they come out, they play hard, I think they can win. They can win any one of those games. They probably win 3 of them down the stretch.
I'll tell you this, though, man. I wonder, yeah, okay, I think it's a good point, but you're leading me to believe that you think Syracuse is going to come out and play really well Saturday. I'm starting to get a sense you think this game could be a little bit of a frustrating endeavor for Florida State.
I think we need to show maturity on offense, and I think we need to be decisive and stop chucking the ball down the field a bunch. I think some of the things that we are weak at, they are strong at. It's a good matchup for them relative to the fact that we're still better than Syracuse. You know what I mean? Like they'll go against Drake May, and that's a bad matchup because that dude will pick anybody apart. But we don't run the ball real well on early downs. They stop the run on early downs fairly well. We throw the ball downfield and don't like underneath plays. They want you to throw the ball downfield, and they'll give you the underneath play. So there's a couple of things that we've got to do and show here to be able to have consistent success.
Almost like a tug of war this weekend between Mike Norvell and Jordan Travis. I'm going to be very curious to see what we get. Are they patient? Will they, whether it's the run game or the intermediate pass game?
Well,
are they patient?
So they schemed it up last year. Again, it's not just that Jordan was turning down deep shots for all underneath throws,
right?
But 0 passes, 0 went beyond 20 yards down the line of scrimmage. One out of every 5 does now.
But remember, that game was an ass kicking from Jump Street.
Yeah.
Syracuse was overwhelmed. At that point, it was just get out of Dodge, don't get hurt. This game's over. They've quit.
We struggled a little bit to finish drives early on. We had a couple short circuit, but it never felt in danger because their offense wasn't going anywhere. The thing was that the way we schemed it, and this will be on the clips that are on the site for members of warchant.com, but there's a lot of scheme screens and underneath plays and drags. They even call it a slant to Micah Pittman. I've seen it. It exists in this offense. So for those of you that say it doesn't, everything was underneath. There wasn't a whole lot of lid lifting and clearing out. It was 4 or 5 guys underneath, and then you release Trey. Like it was all about quick passes, being very decisive at the line of scrimmage. If they play off, remember the Malik McClain throw? That's a run call, but because they're in a 10-yard cushion, it's Jordan saying, "All right, I'm going to you. You can make a guy miss," and he did. Same thing to Johnny on the other side, but it was all predicated on something that we don't do this year.
It was really quite amazing, by the way, how frequently Syracuse defenders got bitched in that game. It was really quite humiliating. I mean, this is the game where guys got thrown to the ground, face palm right in the top of their helmet. It was embarrassing.
And that's something that this year they look better than that. They look like they're tougher. They've got a new defensive coordinator. It's still a 3-3-5, but Rocky Long invented the damn thing.
Right. I talked about it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. There's a back and forth to it. I still think we should win and we should score plenty, but it's a good test because it's going to force us to do something different than we've had to do.
That defense is designed to allow linebackers to make a ton of plays, and it's a smart defense for them to run given their personnel because they actually have 2 very good linebackers. So I'll give them that, but that is an awful lot to ask of those 2 gentlemen. They're not great at corner. They're not great at safety. We know on the flip side, their wide receivers are not any good. So there's a lot for them to overcome.
Yes, when their offense is on the field and our defense is on the field, I agree with you. But this is a team. I'm not just talking about the 13 TFLs. Will Shipley ran for under 4 yards a carry in that game. So they did a good job on that. I'm interested to see what our game plan is. Is it a lot of bubble screens and perimeter stuff? Because we've been kind of Jeff Bowdenish so far. This would be more Mike Norvell. It was a very Mike Norvell-looking game plan last year.
Well, he's got to be eager to get out there and prove it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
I'm Stephanie, and I work for Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I've been working here for over 11 years, and to say making the switch to Paul's has been life-changing is an understatement. First, we provide a service that truly helps people protect the health of their families and pets from disease-carrying bugs and rodents, plus their homes from destructive termites. So when I go to work every day, what I do really makes a difference. Second, I have grown professionally in the company. I was hired by Paul's in customer service, and now I'm the customer service leader. While my responsibilities have grown, so have my pay and benefits. It's such a blessing to work with friends doing something that helps people, plus being well paid. If you're in a job that provides minimal pay and satisfaction, we have openings right now. Paul's employees receive many benefits like CHP, 401k, paid vacations, and holidays. We work Monday through Friday and provide extensive training so no experience is required. Call today to learn how we can improve your life.
This is an urgent alert for all radio listeners. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is inviting you to participate in a rare opportunity to put a brand new hot spring spa in your yard and make your hot tub dreams come true. From October 13th through October 23rd, all hot spring spas will be available for 0% interest financing for 60 months. For 10 days only, this is a rare opportunity available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road. There are over 50 hot tubs in stock right now in their 12,000 square foot showroom. And from October 13th through the 23rd, you can pick your dream spa and take it home with 0% financing for 60 months. No extensions will be made on this offer. This is it for 10 days only. Take advantage of this incredibly hot offer from Hot Spring Spas from October 13th to October 23rd at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road, just off Capitol Circle Northeast.
A cup of joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans.
Not always checking the chat, but I was during the break, and I saw this pop up, and I thought this is worthy of you and I to have a discussion about. Rodney writes, do you think we have too high of expectations for JT? His performance last year was great. I feel coaches have had him dial it down on his running to stay healthy, utilize the talent around him. Seems to be working, but feels that fans are down on JT because they're used to seeing the big plays and flash he gave us last year. I think that's a little unfair because we need him to finish the season healthy. He can make plays with his legs, but we don't need him to unless it is necessary. I think that's a mixed bag in my opinion, Rodney. You said some things that I do agree with, but not everything. I would say that utilizing the talent around him, part of what you noted, is up and down. He hasn't always utilized the talent around him this year. He's gotten very specific with a couple of guys and ignored a few others, I think, that would help create a little bit more balance within this offense. I agree that he has not run nearly as frequently or when he's had the opportunity to, in large part because he's tried to stay healthy and he was dealing with an injury. So I think that is fair. I would also say that the expectations of Jordan Travis grew out of his exceptional play in the back end of last year, where he emerged, really not even just the back end. He started the year against LSU. He came out the gates and looked incredible last season in that game. He had transformed from a quarterback that was kind of a one-read guy that could really kill you with his legs and, if given the opportunity, could make a few throws, but not a guy that hit his back foot and came out on time and hit guys in stride and, really, found ways to make defenses have to defend the whole field. He emerged as that. And when he did that, it became a different realm. He became a guy that was in a different realm, I should say, of quarterback. So we came into the season thinking, well, that can only get better. He's bigger and stronger, and we've provided more weapons around him than he had last year. So why wouldn't that improve? I don't think it's unfair to ask that a guy take the next step forward. He was a preseason Heisman candidate. And so I think the expectations were valid and fair. I don't think he's a Heisman candidate anymore. But I do think he can still be very, very good, and this team can have a special year, and it could be in large part because he plays well. So it's all still out there.
Yeah, I think this is a good solving for the future opportunity because how Mike and Jordan integrate moving forward is going to, I'm not saying they have a problem. It's just that the offense clearly looks different than it did last year. It clearly has different issues than it did last year, namely the offensive line, the ability to consistently run the ball.
Start there, yeah.
And then you can also look at Jordan's injury at Boston College, which is still prohibiting him from letting it loose and turning loose a little bit. So you've got a few things there, mostly on the ground, that are influencing the entirety of the offense, to where even though you feel better about your collection of receivers and pass-catching targets, it still is disjointed. So how does it all work? And I believe Rodney asked that question at the end of the interactive hour last night, and you said ask again tomorrow. So I think we got that done.
Good job, Rodney. Appreciate that.
This is going to be fascinating to watch because the answer is going to be novel. Like it's still an extension, I think, about the identity question. What do we want to be when push comes to shove? What Syracuse does is very different than what Virginia Tech does. Namely, they play defense and Virginia Tech does not. So what do you do with that? And with this specific set, do you look at the game plan and say, it worked last year? I know it's a different guy coaching the defense, but the 3-3-5 is the 3-3-5. Let's keep everything underneath and just march down the field. I wonder if they try to do that this year, because last year's game was successful for a lot of reasons. Syracuse ineptitude on offense was one of them, but Jordan ran the ball effectively last year in that game. It was more than I'm going to do it once to keep you honest. He ran the ball 3 or 4 times in that first half where you had to, if you're Syracuse, buy that if there is a read option, that he could keep it. And I don't know that defenses are at that point right now. So you've got to run him a little bit more. You want to see if they'll use more than just the primary 2 targets. And if Johnny's out this week, then certainly they have to. There's just a lot to sort out still. Even though the running game exploded last week, there's still a lot to sort out between what the offense needs to be and what the quarterback needs to do within it. It's going to be a fun thing to watch.
He's been less accurate on a lot of different types of throws this year too, and that is, I think, maybe the byproduct of an injury. I don't know. Maybe that's the pressure he feels. I'm not real sure. Forcing the ball some into areas that he doesn't need to. These are all criticisms that I think are fair. He hasn't been bad. I mean, I'm not telling you that he's been a bad quarterback. I just think he's capable of a lot more. In fact, we've seen him be better than he's been. So we're still waiting on it. He kind of seems to be emblematic of the season, where it's the ups and downs of a game where we can't seem to sustain a lot.
So charting those numbers, and that's another reason why I was looking at the Syracuse underneath game plan. It's part of the piece that's going to be on warchant.com. But you would think that they've thrown it down the field, like deep shots, way more often this year. It is more often, but it's only about 3.5%, give or take. So it's not a ton more in terms of the downfield shots that we're taking relative to last year. And that may surprise you. But what shouldn't surprise you is that Jordan's accuracy on those throws has dropped 15%. He hit on 45% of those deep shots last year, and now it's down to 30.
Did you chart, Tom? Sorry, did you chart the throws in the middle of the field? Down the seam?
It's a wash. Now, if you're talking about left, right, middle, now I'd have to take a look at those numbers a little bit. But if you're just talking about depth, it's kind of a wash between.
Not depth. I'm looking at middle. I want to know the frequency with which that we attack the seam.
I mean, we could pull that up. I can go get it.
I mean, it's just not something that, with my eyes, I'm seeing nearly as often as we did a year ago. It doesn't feel that way to me.
I agree. No, I totally agree with you.
Now, I could be wrong. Sometimes we, absolutely have it wrong. And then you look at a stat and you realize, okay, well, it's just my bias.
But you wonder how much opens up if you can hit on those deep shots a little bit more. It's 15%. That's a lot. So what it does is it takes the yards per attempt on those throws from 16 and change down to 9. And you're talking about 20-yard downfield shots. That changes the way a defense plays.
You got to hit on those, yeah.
Now they will dare you or disrespect you, as he said at Clemson. Now they're gonna, because it says that they should.
Well, and that was the part, and I kind of said as much, and I'm glad Dominic Robinson just said it. It makes me feel better. He knows more than I do. But I will tell you, I thought after the game when he said that and he used the word disrespect a lot, I thought, well, Jordan, there's a reason for that, buddy. I mean, in that moment, they're challenging you to do that, telling you they don't think you can.
Yeah.
They have much more fear of other aspects of what we could do than your arm hitting the shot down the field. And so that's not disrespect. That's game planning based on tendencies and numbers, based on strengths and weaknesses, theirs and yours. So I think now ultimately what's cool is that you got the ultimate revenge at the end. by hitting that big play and doing so in overtime at a time when you had to have it. It worked out. And that was like the ultimate team win in a sense.
Yep.
Because you forced the turnover after having been kind of a bend defense all game long. You create the turnover that changes the game and gives you the opportunity to hit the throw in overtime. So it is fascinating. There were some other aspects of that too, but it will be, this is where it's fun to watch from this point forward. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone that can still be had. Let's not forget, they've really not had, I don't think, the starting five on the offensive line that they've wanted. Not game in and game out. They just have not been able to have that consistently available to them. Sometimes it's 4 of the 5. Sometimes when they have the 5, let's say, they're guys that are banged up. Sometimes it's, it just hasn't been consistently right from a health standpoint. And let's hope that we're closer and closer to seeing that. I do wonder if it happens that way. Do you see Bless Harris at right tackle with a healthy Robert Scott back? Do you see Bless Harris at right tackle? It's Jeff Cameron Show. That was Solving for the Future. Our friends at ISF. ISF, helping state government solve the future through strategy, process, and technology, the way they've done it for countless statewide and national organizations, including the Florida Department of Health, Child Care Food Programs, business process review that they did, providing a thorough business process review for the Department of Health and the Bureau of Child Care Food Programs. That's a big deal. Management Information Payment System, that's known as MIPS, and they got that thing fixed. And that addressed the need for updates to the system. ISF analyzed the business processes, the Bureau, and recommended ways to improve it. It happened. They became more efficient. Everybody got their money in a timely fashion. Kids could eat. It's a good thing. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A 13-year-old male pedestrian involved in a traffic crash that occurred Wednesday morning around 7:10 a.m. on Blairstone Road has died as a result of his injuries sustained in the crash. The 13-year-old was crossing the street with his mother and siblings when the crash happened. The vehicle and driver remained on scene. No arrests have been made at this time. This remains an open and active investigation, and updates will be provided as more information becomes available. 17-year-old Jadarius Brown, who was arrested on manslaughter charges in September following an accidental shooting that occurred at Springfield Apartment Complex, will be charged as an adult. Brown and 3 other people were in a car smoking marijuana in a parking lot around 4 p.m. when Brown inadvertently pulled the trigger, striking a woman. He then drove her to a local hospital, but not until he ditched the firearm at a separate location. The victim died from her injuries. Brown has been charged as an adult for the crime and transported to the Leon County Jail. His first court appearance is Thursday. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies this afternoon with highs around 75. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows around 66. Tonight, overcast skies. A blend of clouds and sun. Tomorrow, slight chance for scattered storms. High of 81. Mid-80s Saturday, much cooler on Sunday with highs in the mid-70s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 70.
Warning. The following Zaxby's ad may contain messaging upsetting to Philadelphians. Zaxby's took the iconic Philly sandwich, the quote-unquote perfect Philly sandwich, and made it perfecter by putting fried chicken on it. That's right, fried chicken on a Philly. And while Philadelphia might find it offensive, you can find it at your local Zaxby's. Finally, the Philly done right. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The Bonko Lechong, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The Bonko Lechong, Jeff.
Okay, the Bonko Lechong. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Florida
Tacos, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network.
Timed it. The first Bryce Harper home run last night, how many seconds did he stand at home before taking his first step to first base? 4? Did you count it? Well, you should have, because it's funny. I've watched it 6 times since then. I've watched that replay a ton just because I can't stop. There's something about, and by the way, this could be Tub Talk, and I should note something special going on right now regarding Tub Talk. This is important, and I mean this because it affects you and your ability to get a hot tub if you've been thinking about it. An urgent alert is what they told me, and I'll look at it and tell you this. This is a can't-miss deal. So if you have been thinking about it, go do it. You're not going to do better than this. Pinch and Penny Pools and Spas, an opportunity to put a brand new hot spring spa in your yard and make your hot tub dreams, as they say, come true. From October the 13th, that's tomorrow, through October the 23rd, all hot spring spas will be available for 0% interest financing for 60 months. That is, you're not going to do better than that. I don't know how you could. 0% interest financing for 60 months. So it's a 10-day sale. They're incentivizing, obviously. For 10 days only, an opportunity at Pinch and Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road. Walk in, say, I want that tub. You're paying 0% interest for 60 months. 5 years of you just being like, yep, same as cash. Good to go. Here you go. Here's a few bucks. Give me that big-ass hot tub. They have over 50 of them in stock right now. It's a 12,000 square foot showroom. I've actually been in it. I never thought I would. I never used to think that was the thing I was interested in, but then I went over there, and then also they're like, hey, come on over here. We want to show you what we're talking about. It's pretty cool. It is. It's cool. So you got a 10-day window here, guys, in which you can get a brand new big old hot tub. They'll deliver it. They'll install it. They'll do all that. 0 down, 0% interest, 60 month. That's insane, 60 months. So, this is a weird Tub Talk. But I want to go back to this for a second, which is what I was talking about with Bryce Harper. He's easily, I think, hateable. I think you would admit that, right? You're a Phillies fan, but you would admit that he can be tough. But that said, I have a thing about guys that are tabbed at an early age to be the next great whatever. If they do it above and beyond the numbers, I respect the hell out of it. Can you imagine the pressure that comes with being on the front cover of Sports Illustrated at the age of 16? That's Bryce Harper. Front cover at the age of 16. He was the first overall pick. And he kind of ran against a lot of the traditionalist thoughts of the way you should play the game. But he's won 2 MVPs. And he signed a massive, in fact, at the time, biggest contract ever. And at the time that he signed the contract with the Phillies, he said to the city of Philadelphia, we will win a World Series while I'm here. They have. And he hit the grand slam walk-off against the Cubs. He mashed through the 2022 playoffs despite a destroyed elbow. home run against the Padres that everybody will remember forevermore for Philadelphia. That's still a thing, right? You think about it all the time. And then it happened again last night on the biggest of stages, on the heels of Orlando Arcia making fun of him and not getting out, Arcia later lamenting that he wasn't supposed to hear it. Well, hey, man, try not saying that in front of the press that's standing there. Wait till they're not there, like in the first 10 minutes or well after they've left. But it's one thing to hear it, to be mocked, and to know that you're the focus of said mockery, and then to come into a game that, is fairly pivotal and to hit a ball that far. Now, I will say, Bryce Elder throwing 83 over the heart with a slider that I might have hit hard, really hard. Did make it easy. Come on, Bryce. That ain't going to get it done. But, my man hit that thing into the second deck and stood there for a good 5 seconds to suck it. And if he's your player, like if he's an Atlanta Brave or a Pittsburgh Pirate or whatever, and he does that, you're like, yeah, man, that's my dog. That's my guy. That's the kind of revenge you want to see. But he does it not once, but twice. It's impressive. I thought it was very, very impressive, and I'm still laughing about the fact that he did it. And I don't know. I've said this before. Whether you like him, hate him, it doesn't matter. I'm just pointing out anybody that has donned the next great thing and actually does it deserves a little extra credit in my book. See LeBron, see Tiger Woods. Tommy.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that he is perfect for Philadelphia too, personality-wise.
Sure, yeah.
If he was doing this still in the Nationals organization, it wouldn't hit the same as if it was Philly, and those people in Philly are going nuts for a jerk like that. Now, that's not a hater's thing. It's a perfect fit. I like when players match the city or
also embrace it.
Yeah.
Also embrace it. Like, he's embraced it completely. He knows that nobody else outside of Philadelphia likes him and doesn't care. I'm cool with that. We're always wanting guys to embrace being a heel, especially if that's kind of naturally who they are.
Yeah, if you want to be California cool, then go play for the Rams. You know what I mean? At this point, go play for them. Go play for the Chargers. I like if the Texas team is a little rough. They got a little something to them. It's like a Northeast team in college football. They don't have a lot of stars, but boy, do they run the ball hard. That's why everybody loved Schiano with Ray Rice back in the day. That wasn't about the quarterback. It was about Ray Rice and being physical.
It is refreshing, because there's immense pressure that comes with taking on that burden and getting out in front of it and saying, yeah, I know, here you go, I'm going to do this. And then to do it. It's really rare. It is really rare.
So I did some research on the question you asked during Solving for the Future.
I want to clarify the question, because some in the chat have attempted to answer it as well. I'm not talking about completion percentages. I'm talking about frequency with which that area of the field is targeted.
Correct. And I used that implication, that inference from you. We're actually using the middle of the field more at the short and intermediate level.
Okay.
So 0 to 9 yards, 10 to 19 yards. I actually put it in your inbox too.
Yeah, so it's the big plays down the seam that we're not hitting at the same rate, not even close to the same rate that we did a year ago. That would make sense. That's why my eyes are telling me we're not seeing enough of those plays. The short underneath stuff we are hitting at a greater rate, to your point, and thank you for doing that research. You are correct, and I'll allow you to say what it is in just a moment. But the down-the-field big plays, of which we had a ton a year ago, in fact, over 40%, you're just not seeing this year. It's down at 30%. There's been 9 of them in total. 9.
Also, I see in the chat that, maybe I shouldn't say Ray Rice and physical in the same sentence. Sorry about that. I'd forgotten about that whole chapter of his life.
Get your hands up.
Yeah. So looking at the receiving grades, though, I know that Director Matthew loves that. I'm looking at the receiving grades page for the targets. I think this is what our complaint is more about than the section of the field, the third of the field.
Right.
The target breakdown so far this season is Johnny with 36, Keon with 33, Jaheim with 16, Lawrence Toafili with 12, and Kyle Morlock with 11. Those are the only guys with 10 or more targets on the team, and there are only 2 guys with 30 or more targets. Like, the gulf between 2 and 3 is 33 and 16. So it's about the players that we're targeting. I think that the issue is with.
Yeah, the Yanks, yes. I mean,
More than
Destin
it is-
Hills is a playmaker, is a star in the making, and he's not targeted, but what, twice?
Well, and that's, did you say Destin?
Mm-hmm.
4 targets. 4.
Okay, four measly-ass targets.
Yeah. 4 for him, 4 for the departed Winston Wright, 4 for Darion. Yeah.
He sounds like he's dead.
Well, to the program he is. But it's about the players, I think, at that point. I mean, that's 69 nice targets between your top 2 guys. Your next 5 don't even sniff that. You know, that's what it's about. So if it's about it, Johnny sits this week, maybe you see where the variety goes and if that changes a little bit.
I hope so. I think they got to work more of these guys, and they have a lot of dynamic players. I think that's the part of it that is a little frustrating. It doesn't seem as balanced in that sense, and that's maybe what we mean when we mean balance, not just where on the field, but also number of players too.
Yeah,
And
like
that-
if you told me that Johnny and Keon have 36 and 33 targets, I would have guessed Jaheim has 25, not 16, you know?
Well, and he largely missed this last game, so
yeah,
that hurts. I think we're still waiting to unlock Destin Hill. I think everybody's kind of like, hey, let's get to Destin Hill. When you watch, and I think that's true of the media, especially, by the way, because when we see him, we see a guy who's potentially really, really good, and could really change games. So there's that.
And the catch he made last week wasn't about speed and making a guy miss on a slant. It was about ball skills and going up and getting it. You'd like to see what he looks like if in a bubble look like they did a lot last year against Syracuse. If you get him out there in that situation and you have a couple of blockers that you like in front of him, what can he do in that moment? And I think it's also the concept. You know, a lot of these passes that are completed over the middle, think about Johnny catches over the middle. It might be a post every once in a while, like the way we started the second half against Clemson, but that's deep shot. It's a lot of in-breaking routes that take a while. It's not those quick hitters. And maybe, again, Syracuse last year forced Jordan into throwing a lot of passes almost immediately at the snap because that's the read and that's where the ball goes. Is that going to be the same way this year, or are we going to sit back there and wait for something to develop deep? We'll see.
I agree, Briley. I think we'll see a lot of bubble with Syracuse playing off this week. It will be interesting to see if they are able to successfully block it up out there. You got to have a willingness. Hakeem Williams could have himself a day out there blocking, Tom. I mean, a day, right? I would think that this could be a good day for him, especially if Johnny Wilson doesn't play.
Agreed. I think the chances are there for Hakeem. If Kentron is at full strength, he might slide right up that depth chart, which might frustrate a couple of guys. But there's definitely a chance. Again, in the bubble game, the way they space it, if you're on one of the hash marks, they'll play close on that near side, but then they'll give you a cushion on the far side of the field. They look a little bit under Rocky Long. They look a little bit closer than they were last year. I mean, you watch some of those Syracuse clips, like the Malik touchdown, he might have 12, 15 yards of cushion, before the snap. And Jordan's like, what are you doing? I don't even know that was a thing. Jordan might have looked at Malik and just said, hey, that's ridiculous. You got to have the ball. But we'll see what the choices are. If we get through 2 or 3 drives and you don't have a lot of those instant decisions, get the ball out plays, it could be interesting to see what develops as the 60 minutes go.
Want to answer this question. There's only one probable for tonight, so I'm going to quickly answer this. Cody asked, what kind of injuries are we talking about for the offensive line? Well, how about your starting left tackle not playing for much of the season? I mean, that Robert Scott being out for the entirety of the season has been a problem. I mean, he's played, but rather infrequently, and that'll change your offensive line pretty quickly when the guy you tabbed to start and who did all of last year is not playing. I think from there, they've taken turns. I mean, Mo has missed time at center, and that's caused problems too, and he's not been even close to 100%. I think the one guy that probably we overstated, I guess if you want to call it that, as having a bigger impact on the season than he's had is Jeremiah Byers. He transferred from UTEP. We thought Jeremiah Byers would be a lot better. I think we've assessed everybody else pretty well. I will tell you, Meach has taken a step back. I don't think he's playing as well as he did a year ago. So those are your problems along the offensive line, but you've kind of mixed and matched a bunch of different lines that you didn't project to be your starting unit. I'd like to see the 5 that they were looking to have out there together with a degree of consistency, and I think you'll see some things improve. Will they be a juggernaut offensive line? Nope. Probably did overstate how good they could be. Thought some of those transfers would be better. Roddick included. So, we just haven't seen that. But health has been a big part of it.
It's wild to think that with all of the guys they brought in over the years and the transfers, that your three most important offensive linemen are Maurice Smith, Darius Washington, and Robert Scott, the same guys who have been here since 1974.
Yep. Power Mill and Power Mill Training Academy powering today's probables. PowerMillSports.com to learn more about it. Equipping, motivating athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Go ahead, good sir.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
This won't take long. That's it. That's all. Spencer Strider with the Braves season on the line against Ranger Suarez of the Phillies. That will be an 8:07 first pitch tonight. Phillies looking to close it out as they did a year ago with a similar series. Having that even up, winning the next two in Philadelphia, calling it a day, ending a 100-win season for the Braves. Baseball is cruel. I noted it already, but it could very well be on its way. Kind of feels like it's going to happen, doesn't it? So look at those that shall reside on the bump. In the final 30 seconds, I'll say good job to you, Tom Lang. Great job to you, Director Matthew, and we appreciate all of you. Don't forget tonight on Warchant TV, it's a little wake-up Warchant action. Aslan and Corey get together. Should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, we got a Libations Friday edition of the show, followed by a little happy hour at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. You guys have a great night. Enjoy the football and the baseball. Peace.